Welcome to our U version 2 podcast with me, your host, Brendan McCauley, and today with a special guest, John Prince, otherwise known as the Perception Coach. John, or the Perception Coach, would you like to give us a little introduction about yourself?
Hi, Brendan. Yeah, sure. And thanks so much for having me on. So I'm currently a life and mindset coach, but previously I was a professional poker player, and I did that for around 9 years or so. And after about 4 or 5 years of playing poker, my purpose and passion started to change. And then I started to be really fascinated with what drives us as human beings, what makes us behave the way we do, and how can we, live a life of confidence and fulfillment. So I went down that journey, and it took me into coaching, and that's where I'm at now. And just absolutely love it.
Fantastic. Certainly, I don't know, was certainly a path you never thought you'd walk down 10
No.
years ago.
No, I mean, none of the paths I've walked had started off as anything that I would have thought of. It's funny because I first off went to uni to study sport and exercise science. I wanted to be a personal trainer. I just loved fitness, loved training, nutrition, learning about all of that. That was an obsession. And then I got there and discovered poker. And then that became the next thing that I was really into, and then did that for many years. And then all of a sudden, psychology, mindset, and well-being became my biggest passion, and it's got me here. And it's like right now, I love this. I can see myself doing this forever, but who knows, 5 years, 10 years, it might change again.
Fantastic. I actually, as a college friend back in Queen's University in Belfast, after uni, he did similar, he did professional poker, and we were all like, what the heck are you doing? What does that mean? But it exists. It exists and works. So just a little disclaimer. As you know, the interaction is about happiness. Your personal life experiences and events may come up during our discussions. Please allow them to flow. Feel comfortable. If you're not comfortable sharing with others, of course, as I said, you can have a view of the broadcast before we approve it. So let's relax and enjoy this time together.
Sure.
So, simple question to start off with, John. What does happiness mean to you?
Oh, that's a great question. It's a hard one to put in words because it's a little bit like love is an experience that you have. But I'd say that it's something that it comes as a result of what we're doing in a way that we're being. And so if we try to chase happiness and force it, then it's the kind of thing that kind of runs away, because it's like, well, I have to be happy. I have to be happy. I have to be happy. And it's wanting to have it now. And so it's more about looking at where you want to go and being on that path, and then doing things that bring happiness to you. So thinking about things that you do, that you enjoy, that you love, spending time with people that you love, and being the person that you love to be, all then bring about a happiness. So it's without putting pressure on it. It's really starting to allow yourself the freedom to be who you are and do things that you love to do. And then happiness just seems to come as a result of it.
Yeah. As you say, happiness is many things to different people. And I was chatting to, my wife helps homeless in the city here where we live on a Monday, and I was down picking her up, and I was chatting to a guy, and we are talking about, because I was encouraging him to maybe write some blogs for me, because he's homeless, but he's very well educated in philosophy and all the rest, and just to encourage him, give a bit of motivation. And it made me sort of think of the analogy you're saying, people chase happiness, and if you got happiness in a big bucket load all of a sudden, it would be too much, and then suddenly it's gone. But living in the now, just a little drip of happiness every day, keep going, little drips helps, as opposed to all or nothing. So it's a constant little process, as you say, instead of just chasing it and having it and attaining it, and then what does it dissipate? It's
yeah, and the interesting thing is it's like this duality, because it can't exist without sadness. Because if we were happy all the time, we wouldn't know what any other experiences would be. So therefore, we couldn't have it. It's like success and failure. It's why when we're really afraid of failing, we've got that fear of failure, we can't have any success because we're so worried about failing. But the reality is failure and success are part of the exact same thing. You can't have a team win without a team losing. And so the losing has to take place to have the winning. And the same with happiness. We have to have these uncomfortable emotions and experiences in order to really appreciate that. And that's why quite often some of our darkest and most challenging times can actually propel us towards what we want when we're open to it.
Absolutely. And it's that realization as well, isn't it? Because we can't, as you say, you can't always, oh, I'm always going to be sad. No, you won't. There'll be times you'll change. Oh, we can't always be happy. No, there's times you'll come down. It's that element of roller coaster as opposed to steadiness.
Yeah, and it's it's the paradox of the fact that unhappiness can lead to happiness if we're open to it. So it's that not wanting to force it or stay in it. But that's why for me, I like to look towards fulfillment, because I like the idea of fulfillment, because we can be fulfilled, but in the present moment be entirely uncomfortable and not really like where we are and be doing something that we're not particularly enjoying. But if it's on that path to a place of fulfillment or a goal that we deem as worthwhile, that we're moving towards, and it can make it worth it.
Absolutely. Can you tell us about recall a time when the last time you felt really, really happy?
I mean, as you said that, the first thing that came in my head was my wedding day. That was just a pure day of pure happiness. But I was just completely present for that whole day. I remember just, I did a little meditation in the morning with my friend who's the best man, and then we'd had it all planned out. So we had the day planned out, and I'd made this decision that no matter what happens on the day, I'm just going to enjoy it. It's going to be great. And then I just showed up. So there was nothing to do, nothing to achieve apart from getting married. But that was the only real achievement. And then everything else would just happen. But we'd planned it all out before and then just showed up. And it was just, the people that we love were there. I got married, which was an incredible experience.
Yeah.
And just pure enjoyment the whole day.
Was that long ago?
About 4 years ago now.
Oh, yeah, great. It's quite recent.
And since then we've had 2 kids, and they've also, I mean, when they were born as well, that's things that really jump out for me as being happy. It's those moments of just being there and not having to even describe what it is. It's just being in and having that moment of just pure joy.
Yeah. Plus, as you mentioned, there are also moments of shared happiness with social groups or an occasion of friends and family together. I'm a member of Toastmasters, and I was recently delivering a speech or giving a speech to a local polytechnic on the dopamine hits, pleasure and happiness. Don't confuse the two, type of thing. And it was one of the things, pleasure can be experienced alone, whereas happiness is more experienced in social groups. So, a wedding is a perfect example of that. Happiness, we should have mentioned before about it,
but it's more about
keeping it going or in the now. But do you think happiness can fade away with
then
time?
Creates what we're doing? And if we're doing something over and over again, perhaps it's a habit or it's a set of behaviors or a set of thoughts that we're having continuously, then that happiness can fade and we can go into a place of fear or scarcity or lack, and then go into that wanting to chase it, wanting to be somewhere else. And I think we can get into cycles, and sometimes it might be a life event that kind of puts us there. Something can come out of the blue and then we get jolted into that place, and happiness seems to be off in the distance. And it doesn't matter where you are, what success you have, or what you have in your life. It's an internal process that can be going on. And so it's having the awareness that that's happening. For me, I mean, I can go off course at any time, and then it's having the awareness of, it's been a few days now and I'm not feeling great. I'm feeling fearful or anxious and worried. And so then, well, what am I doing? What am I focusing on? Maybe I'm spending too much time on social media. Maybe I'm not spending enough time with the family.
Getting attacked by all the bad information.
Say again.
Getting attacked by all the information online, hitting you with all the
and then we're thrown into reaction instead of creation. And when we're just reacting, we're in that kind of fight or flight mode, and it takes us away from the space that we need to enjoy happiness and joy and freedom.
And certainly in my own life experience of, you say, there's times you've been on the up and you think, oh, this is great, this is never going to end. And then all of a sudden you're at the bottom. How the heck did I get there? And those feelings of joy and happiness are long gone. But you can pick yourself up and do something about it to create it again. I suppose also happiness is a choice, I suppose. So we can decide to do something about it. We can sit and wallow in the mud, or okay, right, that's done. Let's now move on and get on with it.
Yeah. I was going to say, I love what you said there about you said we create it, and we do, and we really do, and we can create that, because that's the thing. We can be anywhere with any experience and still be unhappy, because it's what we're making of that experience, what we're thinking about it, and what's happening for us. And so it is an internal process.
There's some things. I have 3 daughters. They're 18, 16, and 12. And so it's an experience for me going through this teenager years as well. But sometimes, on my own path and constant learning and education of myself, thinking about, okay, I'm in this moment, I'm either feeling angry or I'm feeling stressed, whatever it is, but that's just a thought in my head or an emotion that I'm feeling. Because I would say to the kids sometimes, okay, take it easy, calm down. Okay, what is it that's frustrating you at the minute, or what's wrong? And I said, like, do you realize you can actually change that round right now by just thinking differently? And it's not easy. It's not easy to hear it. It's not easy when someone says it to you, of course, to say, what? I'm so angry and sad right now. How can I turn around and just smile? I said, well, you actually can. Just try it. Smile. Try to get rid of the bad thought. But it's not so easy. But I suppose it's a choice. We want to move on with it. I'd say this is something you're probably more than familiar with, but the question of who am I? Could you tell us, John, I am, and finish with a few points?
So yeah, I mean, I'm how I describe it is I'm not my name, and I'm not my thoughts, and I'm not my emotions. I'm the awareness of it all. And from that place, I get to choose and create who I am. So for me, who we are, it's who we choose to be. Who we are choosing to be in this moment is who we are. And a lot of that happens subconsciously. And what we've learned over time, or what we've been told, we then start to believe that's us. And for those of us that are lucky enough to kind of become aware of that and step out of it, then can say, well, what are those parts that I like, and what are the parts that I want to change, and what are the parts that I want to accept, because maybe I can't change the way that I look or the way that I feel.
Yeah.
But for me, it's who I am is I'm a coach and a husband and a dad and a friend and a son and a brother. Lots of things, there's lots of different hats that I wear, but I try and bring myself to each of that, and try and bring kindness and confidence and joy to what I do. But I try not to get too caught up in a fixed identity of who I am. And it's more a way of being, and trying to bring, a way of being that I like and that resonates with me each day. And that's constantly growing and evolving. So it's a funny one, the question of I am, because I don't like to get too stuck on, this is me and this is how I've always been. It's more about really the values, what we value.
Absolutely. And years ago, if someone had asked me that, I would be saying, oh, yeah, I'm a project manager, or I'm at this, I'm at that, identifying who I am with the job that I do, not actually, well, I didn't ask you what job you did, Brendan, who are you? And then you need to think about that. Well, actually, who am I and what I do, what do I enjoy, but, a typical scenario, if you meet someone in a pub or a restaurant or a friend's house or whatever, how you doing? And tell me about yourself. Look, well, I'm an accountant, I'm a lawyer, I'm a nurse, I'm a whatever. It's not like, yeah, Flip, I love playing disc golf. They're like, what, disc golf? Well, what's that? And they talk about it. But, or, you know, it's something I learned as well to appreciate, you know, to realize, reconsider who am I, and actually ask those questions. So thank you very much. A great definition for others to pick up on as well. And sometimes we are I am who I invest my money or spend my time and my energy with. So what does John do with his time and energy and money these days?
It's a great question. So really at the moment, the most amount of time I spend really is coaching, is working on my craft of coaching. I've just finished an ICF accreditation of coaching that I've done alongside working with clients over this last year. So working on that, spending time with my family is really important to me. So spending time with my wife and children, spending time with friends. And that's the main bulk of it at the moment, if I'm honest.
It's a great thing to be doing, to have the opportunity to do so.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny that someone asked me in the park the other day, I was with the kids in the park, and another parent, they were like, oh, so, you know, what do you do? And then they were like, and what are your hobbies and everything? And I was like, I'm a Toastmaster as well. So interesting to hear so that I've got a hell of a lot out of Toastmasters.
Yeah.
That was a huge one. I went there to do public speaking, which was something that I was really interested in. I was starting to run workshops and when the world was actually normal. I mean, it's gone back to normal now.
Yeah.
But it all went online, and it's frustrating because the getting up on stage was the exciting part, and I feel like that changed.
Yeah, it's actually that, because you say a lot of the meetings were hybrid or online for a long time, and that opportunity to go to the Toastmasters and the Polytechnic. I live in Turin, actually, in Italy. I moved 3 years ago from Ireland.
Yeah.
But just to stand there in the lecture hall, you know, with a bunch of students, it was really enjoyable. I enjoyed it because they're there to learn and improve themselves at the end of the day. So, and they engage in the meeting as well. So,
yeah,
I certainly think the Toastmasters has done well to encourage people and develop them, I suppose.
Yeah, it's an amazing place for people to go and not be judged and get up on stage and speak. So yeah, it's fantastic.
It's the safe environment, I suppose, isn't it? I was actually I'm going off target here, but I think it's good because you go at the moment. I was chatting to my mother earlier on, and I'm the second oldest of a family of 14, John.
Oh wow! And you've got 13 brothers and sisters.
I'm the second oldest, yeah, and all my younger siblings. So I was hooking up with my mum, and she was giving me the update on how some things were going. But we're talking about a few points and some other family members, and we're just talking about how a lot of us as humans, we're all so similar, but we're all so scared, and there's this fear barrier of taking off whatever it is that's stopping us to talk and open up with others. And it's like, if you imagine if there's 10 of us in a room, we're all probably standing having the same thought. Oh, I don't want to be the one to speak. Oh, I can't say anything. But suddenly when you break the ice, then everyone's sort of engaging and conversing. But it's so many of us are just so scared to break through, or just that initial hello or that initial whatever it is, because we're social beings and we like to communicate. However, it's just amazing because I reached out to my family to do podcasts, for example, and very few of them replied because they're fearful of going on camera or being on a platform, so to speak. We all had to overcome that. I was going through a familiarization with certain things and learning. And I did a 90-day video challenge. Record yourself with your camera and talk to it. Learn how to talk to a piece of technology with no one around you, type of stuff.
Yeah.
And it does help. But because initially we're like, no, that's a bit weird. What's that about? Why are you doing that? But it's another means to share and communicate with others. So and open up.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? It's been putting yourself out there. I remember when I first made my first ever Instagram video about maybe 6 years ago, and I was terrified. I picked my phone up and my arm was shaking, and I was just like all over the place, and I didn't know what I was saying, and I hadn't even done my hair, but I had this moment of inspiration. I'm like, I have to do this now, or I'll never do it. It'll get shelved, and it'll be 10 years down the road, and I wish I'd have done it. And I just made that, and then it was like out there, and then that was it. And then I just started making a video every day and kept going with it. And there were loads of days where I didn't fancy it, but stuck with it. And now it's quite normal. It's fine. I can do it.
That's commitment every day, because it's not easy. It seems like, oh, just a few minutes every day, but you need to have something to say, and you need to do it, and you need to record it, and you need to post it. But it's fantastic because you're sharing with others at the end of the day. I think that's a key thing. I think it's fantastic.
And this, like you said, we all have the same fears and insecurities, and it's just breaking through them. And that thing of what we're all waiting for is someone else to make us feel welcome, right? We just want someone to extend that invite. Like you reach out to me to come on the podcast, and so you have to take that action and ask. There'll be lots of people that will say no, and then you get people that say yes, and you get to dive in and have a conversation. And I call it the spider effect. You know, the way we look at a spider, and many of us see a spider and we're scared of it and we don't want to pick it up. And that spider is terrified of us. And we're the ones thinking, oh, I'm not going to pick it up, it might bite me or something. But they're terrified of us. And that's how we all kind of look and experience. But we don't realize that everyone else is playing the same game in their own head. So we're scared of them and they're scared of us. And everyone's just waiting for that one person to make the other person feel welcome and to go first. And I was out the other day with my wife and her family, and we were out for a walk, and we were queuing for coffee, and there were some people behind us in the queue, and there was a couple with a dog, and the guy didn't look that friendly. He just kind of was looking like that, and I just thought, I'm just going to go and say hi and talk to the dog and everything, and so I, say hello. And the moment I start speaking, he's just smile on his face, beaming. We're in conversation. But there's me thinking, oh, maybe this person is not that friendly. But we know nothing until we really dive in. And I think
it's so true. And I was saying when I was chatting with Mum, I've been guilty of it. Sitting fearful or shy, or oh no, I can't say here, I can't speak up. But when you actually do, you break it. You're like, what was holding me back? Why was I so stupid? Why didn't I just say it earlier? We could have been having more fun there a few hours ago. Listen, I'm really conscious of your time, and if I can wrap up with 3 very simple questions, if you can just give me a straight up answer without any sort, you don't have to diverge into a long response, but
sure.
What are you grateful for right now?
I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for the ability to be able to coach and connect with so many people, and I'm grateful for the ability to be able to choose my thoughts and therefore have the ability to have choice in where I want to go in creating my life. And I know that it's not always the case. Sometimes I get taken over by the automations and go in the direction that I'm pulled in. But having that ability to just pause and stop and say, look, I can change how I feel, I can change what I'm doing, and I can move in a direction I want. And that's really true freedom wherever we are.
Oh, absolutely. And some of us, like myself, are aiming to pursue that and find it. And it's great that you've had that opportunity, John. Are your relationships going well?
Yeah, so with my wife, it's great. But in terms of relationships with family or clients, friends, or is there any particular
whatever that means to you?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question, because my first thought is, with my wife, that's a personal relationship, and that's great, and we're a team, and we work together and try and support each other to move in the directions that we want. And then there's relationship with my kids, and they're my greatest teachers at the moment. Nothing will trigger you like your kids and push you to the limits of all the emotions. So I'm learning a lot from them. I'm learning what it takes to give back, and learning patience. And I'm learning how to manage chaos, because there's a lot of chaos where let's go this way, no, let's go that way. So that relationship is a lot about learning and loving at the moment.
A
And
great learning experience.
yeah, and then also, yeah, the building the relationship with my clients as well, and the challenges that they're going through, and learning from them, and their world, and also what it takes to create a successful relationship there, which for me is around commitment, right? We're talking about being able to post online and show up, but in the long term, it takes a commitment. And it's same working with somebody one-on-one. It takes a commitment to create results. When we, life's happening in our speaking, when we say we'll do something and we show up and we'll do it, then that holds a lot of power, because the things that we want are behind the things we're afraid of. Our fear is always in between, and commitment can blast right through that, because when we say we're going to show up and we do, then we go through all the stuff that's in the way, the resistance, the difficulty, the necessary suffering and the fear, and we can create something powerful.
Yeah. Your words are very encouraging to me as well, because it's like we're fearful of what we want to do. I would love to do this. I'd love to do that. Well, why aren't you? Go and give it a shot. What have you got to lose? Type of approach. So I'm engaging that more these days. Get out of your comfort zone. And finally, then, John, how are you making the world better?
I like to hope that I'm making the world better by helping people to love who they are and helping people to create meaning in their lives. Because a life of meaning, a life of purpose, is a life that leads to fulfillment, and happiness can be a big part of that. But without that meaning, it's the question, well, what's the point, right? And it's trying, and my goal is to help shift people from, well, what's the point? Why bother? Into, this is the point, and this is why I get to do it, and helping them make an impact.
Fantastic purpose. You went from poker to purpose. What a fantastic transition. I'm sure the poker mindset gave you an insight into humans and human behavior, which you were probably able to adapt in many other ways.
Yeah, definitely. It's that's the thing that I lacked with poker for me, was I got to a point where I said, well, why am I doing it? And in the beginning, it was a great, it was really exciting. It was really fun. I loved the challenge. I loved the game. You can improve, you can get better. And it took time and patience to develop that. And then after about 4 or 5 years playing, and I just realized that I was just constantly chasing. I was just chasing after the next win. And so my happiness and my fulfillment was always in the next week or the next month, and never getting there. And then I just asked myself the question, well, if I won like biggest tournament in the world, how would I feel? And I got to a point where I was like, it would be all right. I'd be okay. But then where do I go from there? So I needed something more. And it was a long journey to figure out what my purpose is. And I got to that point through experimentation. I went to Toastmasters, and it's funny because I went to Toastmasters and I did a day there and it was great. But then I went off and I did some charity work, and that was okay. And I did a day in a soup kitchen, and I was chopping veg, and they took it out to the homeless. And I was like, I contributed, as great, but it wasn't my thing.
Yeah.
And so then someone introduced me to a charity called The Listening Place, and it was helping people face to face that were suicidal. It was a little bit like the Samaritans, where you can speak to anyone, but this was, you would have the same sessions with people one-on-one. And I just saw the power of being present with somebody and not having to do anything, just listen and be there. And that blew my mind. And I was like, wow, okay, now I see the power of this. What could it be like to develop some tools to help people move in the direction that they want? And so that sparked me off on this journey. I went back to university, studied psychology.
Wow.
Say again?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it was a big decision to go back and do that. And then it was like, what modality can I use to help people? And for me, coaching's the most diverse and flexible, where you can bring all your own unique gifts and talents to it.
Yeah.
And so went down that path and ended up where I am. And because I had that purpose, was that I had to get out of my own way of everything. Was like, for me previously, it was like, how much money can I make and what can I get? And because I was always trying to get, it was like everybody else and everything else had what I needed. And it was only when I realized, well, what if you've got enough to give and you can start giving without wanting anything back? And I was like, that was my problem. I was just giving to get something back. It was always like, well, I'll do this for you and then you do this for me. Or it was somebody else had what I needed. So I'd go on a night out waiting for somebody else to bring the fun. And I didn't realize that I could bring the fun to a night out. And then that's when things shifted. And it was like, right, my purpose is to find out what I'm passionate about, that I can contribute to others and make a difference. And it's the path that I'm on at the moment.
Fantastic to hear, John. Really encouraging, really is. And it's lovely to hear. It really is, because to get, for us as humans to get to the realization that actually big purpose in our life is helping others. And as you mentioned earlier on, just listening is such a big help for some people in their certain circumstances. So what a pleasure to hear your story.